I'd like to welcome everybody to our webinar today. Give you a brief overview of our agenda. We have 4 Signworld owners on the call today on the screen. So you're going to get to ask each of them your questions. Ask your questions and you'll get 4 answers to every question you ask. Before we do that, to get into the questions, let me have each one of our owners introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their business. And then Jack Werner, our president and owner of Signworld, Jack will give us a couple of definitions of things to keep in mind. And then we'll open it up to questions. We'll go in order as everybody's on the screen. So Keith Johnson, you'll be up first, and then Jerry Wamser, and Brian Reagan is asked to pass, and then Steve Noth, and so on. So when it is your turn, please be ready with your question. Make it short, make it simple, make it open-ended. And we do the round robin fashion where everybody asks just one question, just one. And then we move on to the next person and the next. And then when we get all done, we can go back around again. Or if you wish, you could type your questions into the chat box at the bottom. So let's get going. So let's start with Ben King. Ben, give us a wave. Tell everybody what it's like being a Signworld owner and tell us about your business.
Sure. So I run King Signs. We're located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Been in operation 3.5 years. I am still in my first lease. Got about 1.5 years left on that lease. I'm in 2,000 square feet. Just hired I'm at 4 full-time employees. My sales rep just started right after Memorial Day, so he's still kind of new in role. And then I have 2 designers and then 1 production manager. My projected sales for this year is going to be about 750, between 750 and 800, which is a little flat to last year based on a number of reasons. And then I've done a couple projects. All these were questions that were pre-sent to us, Ken, but done a couple $50,000 projects with clients. And then my background prior to starting the sign company, I was in corporate America, most recently with Target Corporation for 15 years.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Helen McKinstry. Helen, give us a wave. Tell us about your business.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I'm Helen McKinstry. I'm the owner of Sabre Sign Solutions. I'm located in Austin, Texas, and I've been in business for 3 years. I'm currently in 1,800 square feet, and I'm actively looking at moving into a larger space, probably around 4,000 square feet next year. I currently have 4 employees, 3 full-time and 1 part-time. And for my sales projection this year, I'm looking at between 4 and 450. Again, it's about flat from last year for probably a very similar set of reasons to Ben's. Biggest customer project that we've done so far probably would be a client who's moving into a brand new headquarters building. And we did a set of their interior, probably more like artwork type signage and exterior signage for about $45,000. And my background career was I also came from corporate America. I was with IBM for 32 years. Grew up as a software engineer and led some large organizations delivering software and ended my career as a business consultant.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Larry Foster, Troy, Michigan, Detroit area. Tell us about your business, please.
All right. Well, the name of my company is Signs and More. And as Ken said, we're located in Troy, Michigan, which is about 35 miles north of Detroit. I've been in business now for about 19 years. I'm in my 3rd location. I started off in about 1,700 square feet. I moved to a 4,000 square foot building. And then about 11 years ago, I bought an 8,000 square foot building. I've got 12 employees, and this year we should do just over $1.7 million. Probably the biggest job that we've had in the last couple of years was late last year. We do decorative street signs where we go in and we take out the city or the county street signs and we put in decorative street signs that are provided by a Signworld vendor. And that was $94,000. In my background, I was also in retail. When I left my corporate job after 27 years, I was the vice president of operations for Kmart.
And how many days a week do you play golf, Larry?
I play golf 3 days a week. I played this morning, I play tomorrow afternoon, and I'll play Saturday morning.
Okay. And is it true that you still have your very first employee 19 years ago?
I sure do.
Okay, that's great. Jack Werner. Jack, tell us your story.
Morning, everybody. I joined Signworld 25 years ago, back in 1995. I started in 1,200 square feet with one employee. I ended up in 5,000 square feet with a staff of 11, doing 1.3 million in sales before the days of the internet. It was yellow pages. We were more of a retail model, more of a local business. Signworld's changed a lot over the years. I sold my business at that point, joined Ken at the corporate office to learn his end of the business. We worked as sort of a partnership for about a 7-year period. I finished buying him out 5, almost 6 years ago and took over as present owner of Signworld. Ken has stayed on with a number of roles, but we've relieved him a lot of the day-to-day duties and enjoy having him here helping us. When I answer questions today, if it comes from my experience running a Signworld operation, I'll speak from that perspective. If it goes more to training and support and things like that, I'll answer from that perspective. So depending on the question, we'll pause whether I'm answering from the left side or right side. 2 comments I want to make for everybody here. Signworld is not a franchise. We're an owner's alliance. A franchise, we believe, is appropriate if the rule book is critical to do everything exactly the same, but this was custom manufacturing. If it's in an industry dominated by big names, but this is a very fractured industry. And if you're going after hundreds and thousands of customers, we're going after handfuls of repeatable customers. So we believe operating under an owner's alliance format, there's some advantages in that there are no rules. You get to run it completely your way with our help and support. You don't pay a royalty. The owners are bought into a peer support system. We believe there's more effective help and training and support than you'll find in most of the other options out there. But we respect the fact that if you don't join Signworld, you're going to join a franchise. We're an anomaly. There is nobody else out there that gives us ongoing training and support like we do. Signworld is a better fit for leaders rather than followers. People that want to do it their own way with help and support. The franchise model is fit better for the leader or the follower who wants to follow the rule book and do it their way. Many times people confuse us with printers. Printers do the commodity items, the brochures, the business cards, letterheads that are printed and put in a box. We have someone that has some background noise. If they can mute themselves, we appreciate it so we don't have that interference. We've got a lot of people on the call. We're in the custom production business. Small as a postage stamp, the entire side of the building, unusual shapes, unusual materials, depths, differences. But it's the application afterwards. It's screwing into the wall, gluing into the wall, screwing into the post, sticking it in the ground, putting it on the vehicle. You can investigate it on the internet, and the internet brings us most of our leads, but we can't order it. It's not an e-commerce site. So the internet's our best friend. Don't confuse us with printers. They do the commodity, low margin items. We do the higher margin items. Ken, go ahead and start.
Okay, well, let's get into the questions. So Keith Johnson. Keith, if you want to unmute yourself, go to the box where your picture is and up in the corner or down in the, you're unmuted. Go ahead, Keith.
I'm just brand new looking at this as a possible investment opportunity. So I am going to pass and just listen, at least on this first round. I may come back later, but I'll just pass here. Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us, Keith. Jerry Wanser. Jerry, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you fine.
Great. I'm in the process of putting together the business plan, and I'm looking for like a break-even point from average sale. Where do you guys have an average sale? Where's your dollar figure there?
Okay. Larry Foster, 19 years in business. What's your average sale?
You're on mute, Larry.
You're on mute, Larry. You're still on mute.
Nope, now your phone is on mute.
Your phone's on mute.
Your computer's not, but your phone is.
Well, how's that?
You're good. You're good.
There we go.
All right, for the rest
It's
of the
just
call,
under $1,000. I run $980.
$980 average order. Helen, what's your average order?
I'm gonna say probably about 12 to 1400.
And Ben King, what's your average order?
This year it's $1,655.
And Jack, what's your average order, or what was it?
You know, my average order was about 1,200. You know, while you're going to have orders in the thousands of dollars, you're also going to have accommodation orders for regular customers that bring that average down. But the average transaction through Signworld was probably running in that $1,000 to $1,500 range.
Okay. Brian Reagan is going to skip. So Steve North. Steve, come off of mute. Are you there?
Good afternoon. Thanks. My question is around pro forma. So where did you compare to your pro forma for the first 3 years of your business?
Could you say that again, Steve? Pro forma?
Yes. So the pro forma that you had for the first 3 years of your business, how did you actually compare to that?
Okay. Ben King, you did a business plan for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
Did you actually perform?
I would say that initially the first 2 years, my sales exceeded what my business plan had said, but my profit margins didn't quite get to where I initially thought they would, for a variety of reasons. Year 3 and into year 4 were probably more in line. Most of the things that you see are in that 23 to 25%, which is very obtainable. But initially out of the gates, I didn't hit that.
Okay. Helen, how have you done on your first 3 years according to your business plan?
So first 6 months were probably lower in revenue, but over the 3-year period, probably about close on revenue. Also, my profit margin was not what I was hoping for by the end of 3 years, but it is now improving. And what I found in the individual expenses is, you know, some were higher, some were lower. I found my insurance is better, but my rent is higher. So, you know, a lot of those expenses from the original plan, again, you know, some higher, some lower, overall averaged out, but probably my rent and my salaries are a bit higher.
Okay. Larry Foster, can you remember that far back, first 3 years? Your plan versus your
I can. I exceeded the sales goals. My gross margins were less than what I had anticipated, but my expense ratio was lower. So it kind of came out on plan.
Jack Werner?
I was ahead of target all the way through. You know, we'll help you figure out what your performance need to be. And then the challenge is, you know, you're either going to be right on target, ahead of target, or if you're running behind, you got to come back and ask for some additional help and coaching. There's a lot of help in the system.
Okay, great. Jim Brewer. Jim, come off of mute.
Good morning or afternoon as it applies. My question is about pro forma as well. I was just looking to kind of project first year annual sales, expenses, and profitability.
Okay. Larry Foster, we'll start with you. First year, gross sales, profit.
Gross sales were $255,000. My gross profit is where I was saying was lower. It was probably more like in the high 60s for gross profit, and my expense ratio was about 47% at the time.
So your net profit was?
It was probably about. It probably ran at that time about 18%.
And today, what would you say for the entire length of your business, year in, year out? What do you run? Profit.
I run anywhere between 24 and 26% per year.
Okay. Helen, first 3 years, profitability, gross sales, profitability.
So I keep track on a calendar year. I opened in June the first year. For my first 6 months were slower than I anticipated. I made 30,000. My second year was a full 12 months. I made 225,000, and my third year I closed at 403,000 in revenue. The first year I was unprofitable because I made a very explicit decision to bring not just the first employee in, but I brought a second employee in to help me meet my personal goals in addition to my business goals of kind of bringing somebody in who could run the business when I needed to step away and be a family member for a little bit. And I don't regret that, but it was definitely had an anticipated and realistic financial impact, but for me, it was the right thing to do.
Ben King, gross sales, first 3 years, profitability.
Yeah, so my first year we did 304. We opened in January, so my first year was actually also a first full calendar year. My profitability was in the upper teens. Again, I made some strategic decisions on just where I spent, brought some people on ahead of time, ahead of need, stuff like that. We've now brought that, sales have increased year over year. This year, like I said at the start, will be flat to LY, I think. But we've inched up that profitability to where now I'm in the, I think last year I was at 23.8% profitability.
Okay. And Jack?
I did 430, 580, 780, and $1 million. My fourth year, I ran consistently at a 25% net.
John Christie. John, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon and morning to everybody, and thanks for doing this for us. It's very helpful. I had my first conversation with Ken 24 hours ago, so I'm relatively new to this discovery period. So apologies for the basic question, but I'm really interested to hear what drew you to Signworld? What made you decide this business and this company?
Larry Foster, 19 years ago, why did you decide to join Signworld?
Well, it didn't have anything to do with signs. I looked at a lot of different franchises. I liked what I saw. I saw clean businesses that I could run, be successful. But at the end of the day, it wasn't my business. It was me running a small piece of somebody else's business, and that's not what I was looking for. So after several tries, the guy that I was working with said, there's another company out there, and he said, I've never worked with them, but they're set up differently. And he explained how the setup was with Signworld, and I loved it. It was exactly what I needed. It gave me vendors, it gave me training, it gave me everything that I need in an industry that I don't know anything about. But at the end of the day, it's my company, and that's why Signworld for me.
Okay. Ellen McKinstry, why did you choose Signworld?
So I started out with two goals. One was work-life balance. Big goal for me. I wanted to be able to go on a college trip with my son now and then. Wanted to be able to not be working nights and weekends. So that brought me to kind of the 9 to 5, 8:30 to 5:30 model. That was one. Second one was replacing some income. My kids weren't yet in college, didn't know where they were going to college yet. So just wanted to kind of buffer that unknown in our future. And then two more developed as I was finalizing my decision. The third one was really wanted something where I would have independence, the ability for me to make my own decisions about what I was going to sell, how I was going to price it, what kind of service and support I was going to offer, balanced with support available in a broader network. That very much attracted to me to Signworld and is a bit unique for Signworld. And then finally, I realized one of the final sort of things that weighed in was this is a fun business.
Ben King, why Signworld?
Came down a couple things. One, I wanted business to business versus business to consumer. That business to business also then eliminated retail hours. And so as Larry and I talked about, we grew up in retail, and nights, weekends were something I was similar to Helen, was looking to get away from. And then where I was at, I just did the math on all the franchises and the royalties that we're going to pay. And if the business is going to be successful, I did not want to pay 7 to 8% to some franchise company for the next 20 years. And then I did like the fact that I wasn't limited into where I was going to sell versus a lot of franchises are territorial and you can't sell outside your zip codes. And so those were the three big things. And there's a ton more reasons that I've now come to love about running my own business, particularly running my own sign business. But those were the three that caused me to pick sign.
Okay. Jack Werner, why did you join Sign?
I made a list of 35 things that were important for me. Some involve daily life, some involve personal life, and some involve the economics. Everything else my coach showed me got kicked off for multiple reasons. I only hit all 35. It was every day different. It was the results that I could see, small staff and career employees, ability to have regional and national customers, scalability, no rules, no royalties.
Okay. Mark, come off of mute. Mark, what's your last name?
Hi, my name is Mark Karimpour, and I'd like to thank Ken for inviting me to this meeting. And I'm really excited about it. I just started talking about Ken over a couple of weeks ago, no, maybe a couple of months ago. And what I'd like to know is that the training that you get, how much does it prepare you in case your sign maker doesn't show up on a project?
Larry Foster, the training that you got from us. What happens if your sign maker doesn't show up for work?
Well, it's really hands-on experience. There's parts that talk about how to build the business. There's parts on how to make a sign. There's parts on the technical side. So you get a lot of that training. And when you leave that training, you can make signs. It's not what your goal is. It's not what you want to do on a daily basis, but in a pinch, you can do it. And then
your thoughts.
Hire a sign maker as quick as you can.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was that me, Ken?
Yes, Helen, go ahead.
So what we did early on is, the training helped me understand basically how the machine works, and I can definitely make a sign in a pinch. But what I did early on is I built out my local ecosystem, is how I like to call it. So in addition to my distributors and vendors and suppliers, I developed relationships with local sign businesses. And I will tell you, there was more than once where one of my guys called in with the flu right when a vehicle was being delivered, and they expected graphics on it that day. And I would call one of my local buddies who owned a different sign company in the area, and they would be able to send somebody over, or I'd call one of my subcontractor installers. So you want to develop relationships with other people locally, and they'll help you out in a pinch.
And Ken, your thoughts?
Yeah, similar to Helen, like the training is great, but I kind of went into this with the mentality of like, I'm not going to be back there producing, making signs, because that's not how the business is going to grow. And so I purposely, intentionally, I'm not great back there. I can't design, I can't run a lot of the software that we run, but you have other Signworld owners that you can lean on depending on your market. And so there's 4 other Signworld owners in the Minneapolis market that I've leaned on when I need to. And so I've really done, I guess that's what I would say, more than you're going to get the training in order to become a sign maker yourself.
Jack, your thoughts?
Your goal is also to have some part-timers in the wings to get to number 2 as quick as you can. So you're never at 0, you're at worst at 50%. Other Signworld owners will turn for you at cost. They would like that same help if they needed it. So whether it's employee or equipment, you're never down. Over the years, we've had fires, floods, tornadoes, and other issues, and Signworld owners have always managed to get projects done even through that.
I'll add my 2 cents. Under the current training, we're not going to let you leave training until you pass the test of a benchmark sign maker. So you'll always know how to do it. You'll always be able to do it. I founded Signworld 32 years ago. I just made a couple of signs a couple of months ago. So you can do it if you have to do it. But again, that's not what you want to do. You want to be focused on the customer. Jake Nevius, come off of mute, Jake.
Hello, how's it going?
Great, go ahead.
Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, so really my question, I'm kind of still new to the game too. I've only done one of the phone calls. This is my first one of these. From training until, getting that first order, what was everybody's experience with that timeline? Okay.
Larry Foster, did you have orders before you opened up?
I did. Had customers that were close to us that saw that we were opening, stopped by, and we made pretty simple stuff. We made banners and some coroplast signs for them.
Helen McKinstry, did you have orders before you opened up?
I did. We opened in June, but I took my first order in April. So while we were still building out our shop, I was already able to start taking orders.
Ben King, did you have orders before you opened up?
Yeah, and we did, and we ended up using other Signworld owners to produce those.
Okay, so use other Signworld owners. Jack, your thoughts?
We teach you to start marketing the business the day you sign a contract. So two things develop. One, you have a book of orders waiting for your sign maker to start. And the ones that can't wait, other Signworlders make it for you at wholesale. You should process at least some products before you open just to grease the wheel and be busy from day one if you follow what we teach.
Okay, thanks so much, guys. That's really great.
Okay. Lori, come off of mute.
Hi, this is Lori Marco. Thank you all for your time today. I'm interested in understanding how long it took you to get to break even and how long it took you to start paying yourself.
Good question. Larry Foster, from the day you opened, how many months before you broke even cash on cash?
4 months.
And how many months before you took your first paycheck?
5.
Helen McKinstry, how many months did it take you to break even cash on cash?
It was 13 months for me, but again, I hired 2 employees day one. So I kind of reset my business plan at that point. And again, it was worthwhile for me.
And how long before you took your first paycheck?
I was taking my first paycheck after the first few months in small amounts, but I balanced it out with, how the business was doing in any given month.
Okay. Ben King, how many months were you in business before you broke even cash on cash?
I made money the first month and probably 4 of the first 6 months. And then it was probably closer to 9 months before I took a consistent paycheck.
Okay. And Jack Werner?
Month 1 to cash positive, month 6 to paycheck. Average through the system is 5 months to cash positive.
Okay. Michael and Trin. Michael, you want to go first?
Sure. Hello, guys. So there's a question just mostly from my wife. What reservations did you guys have leading into making this decision, and did any of those reservations end up, manifesting themselves as a reality you had to overcome, or was it fairly easy?
Larry Foster, what reservations did you have going in?
No question about it. I had no sales experience, and it was that dreaded sales call that I envisioned that I was going to be driving around in my car looking for somebody with an old sign, and I was going to knock on the door and say, I noticed you have a crappy sign and I sell brand new signs. And it's not that way. It's turned out that it is absolutely the most fun part of this business. I get to go in and see all different businesses, see how they run their business. I can relate to them, and it's consultation. There's already been a demand for your services. Somebody got you through your website or a referral, and all you're doing is going in and talking to them, taking notes and getting some pictures and coming back and coming up with ideas after you get back.
Ellen, what were your reservations going in?
So my reservations were not the kind that led me to wonder whether I should go in. It was just nervousness and execution. So the one was, oh my gosh, I don't know the first thing about signs. How could I possibly sell one? And, I was amazed at how quickly we were able to work through that without issues. The second one was, Ken and Jack and these guys just kept encouraging me to go visit these other sign companies in my area. I'm like, what are they talking about? I'm their competitor. They're not going to want to talk to me. They were absolutely right. So I thought they're just going to boot me out, but no, I strongly encourage you to get to know other sign businesses in your area. You will meet the occasional curmudgeon, but most of them are going to be very collaborative and be very helpful to you in growing your business.
Ben King, reservations going in?
I guess I didn't have any reservations on Signworld per se. I guess I had more reservations on starting my own business, and worked through those at whatever those were. And I think that continues to change and evolve of the problems or issues that you come about in year 1, year 2, year 3. But as far as reservations, I didn't have any.
Jack Werner, reservations?
Before I give my answer, Ken, I'm going to introduce a couple of slideshows that are going to go on in the background. There's no audio to these. We're going to continue a conversation. The first slideshow is just showing you some of the facilities inside and out so you can see what they look like. Each of them very different. The second slideshow is showing you what is a sign. Not only what are we able to make with the initial equipment, but also what are you able to outsource. And the third part of that slideshow is showing you some unusual signs that you might not consider. The third slideshow is showing you some of our wall of fame. While you start off with simpler projects, you grow into more complicated projects. So we'll have that slideshow going on in the background while we continue. You know, I think you've got to do your homework. You got to do your due diligence. You got to really question yourself about, is this the right business for you? But then I think you got to go in with no regrets and get out of my way, I'm coming. And believe in yourself. If you've been successful in corporate life and business life before, and you do what we teach, the business is there. You just got to go ask for it, and then you got to deliver what you promise. So doing what you need to do is what it takes.
Okay. Trin, do you have a question, Trin?
Hi, no, I think Michael just kind of expressed that for me, so thank you.
Okay. Where do we leave off here? Screen just scrambled on me, Jack. So.
Dave Scotto could be next.
Okay, Dave Scotto, go ahead, Dave.
Sure. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, everyone, for being willing to share with us some of your thoughts. My question has to do with product mix. So how much of your product mix were you able to do on the initial package of equipment? And then along with that, how much outsourcing did you have to do? And what was maybe one key thing you learned with regard to the outsourcing?
Okay, Dave, sorry to interrupt you here, but can we go with one question? Which one of those questions is your most important?
Sure, let's just go with the product mix question.
What's your product mix? Okay, Larry Foster, can you talk about your product mix?
Well, we're generalists, so we do just about everything. There are certain categories we don't do. We don't do signs that light up. We outsource that. We don't do a few other things, but we do probably 80 to 85% in-house. Of everything that we do, 70% comes from my printer, and that could be printing graphics that go on a window. It could be graphics that go on aluminum products, plastic products. It could go on a vehicle. So printing is really critical in this industry. Besides that, we have other strong categories. We do a lot of office interiors. So those are some of the areas.
Helen, tell us about your product mix.
So we're about 50-50 in-house and outsourced. We have a greater profit margin with in-house, and we keep our internal staff real busy with our printer, our laminator, our plotter, and with installation of all things that we can do ourselves. And about 50% is outsourced, where we're really just spending some project management time, scheduling time, managing lower profit margin, but lower of our resources required to manage that. So less overhead associated with that.
Ben King, tell us about product mix.
Yeah, we're at, I'd say 65% of our projects are in-house, and about 50% of our revenue is coming from in-house.
And what are those products?
Like Larry, we're a generalist. Everything in-house is vinyl. On walls, we love wall graphics, window graphics, vehicle graphics. We'll do vehicle wraps as well. And then those outsourced projects are, anything kind of exterior, channel letters, monuments, pylon signs, things of that nature.
Jack Werner, your product mix.
We recommend about a 75-25 split in the beginning because the margins are better in-house. As you grow in business, I probably ended up at about a 50-50 for a short period of time. And then I brought in some extra equipment to take care of those unusual projects and ended up about 90% in-house and 10% subcontracted.
Okay. M. Vand. M. Vand, do you want to come off of mute? M-V-A-N-D. Are you there? Okay, Nesh. Come off of mute, Nesh. Go ahead.
Hi, Ken, and everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are. My one and foremost important question is, how do you market yourself? Means how competitive is the market and how do you generate the sales?
Larry Foster, how competitive is your market? How do you market yourself?
Well, I think you'll find just about every market is very competitive. We have probably 200 sign companies in a 20-mile radius of my building. But the fact of the matter is I don't worry too much about them. I have my own customers. I have a basic group of customers that rely on me for their signage, and they come back to me over and over and over again. And we actually have 85 to 90% repeat business. I don't worry about their pricing. I don't even know what their pricing is. I just know what mine is, and I take care of the customers.
Helen, what's the competition like?
I think it's a pretty darn competitive market, but I've discovered it doesn't take a whole lot to differentiate yourself if you know what to focus on. And so, we use digital marketing. We use, I do networking and referral. But, we are also, our goals are to increase our repeat business. Right now, and 3 years in, I'm at 45% repeat business. I'm hoping to get that closer to 60% in the short term. We focus a lot on reviews. So we find that when there are new customers scoping out who they're going to call, they look at our reviews. And so we focus a lot on following up with our customers and getting those positive reviews out there. And so we're up at 5 stars. And then to get to those reviews and those repeat customers, you want to focus on responsiveness. That will differentiate you. Responsiveness, being timely, having integrity, and I think as Larry said, take care of your customers. And those things will truly differentiate you.
Okay. Ben King.
We have a heavy online presence. That's from day one. We've gone after web marketing, Google AdWords significantly. And that's how we continue to grow our customer base. I tell people all the time, we don't carry anything, we don't make anything that's unique. The only thing that we have that is unique to King Signs is our people. And that's how we're going to differentiate. And kind of to Helen's point, whether that's speed, quality, the 4 people and myself are the only thing that my sign company has that no one else does. And that's how we have to win.
Jack, how did you separate yourself?
I had 10 competitors within a mile, 300 in the county. I could have looked at it and said, too late. Shame on me. I waited too long. I looked at it as opportunity and said, if there's that many there, it's got to be a lot of business. I don't have to be better than all of them. I just got to be a little bit better than some of them. Competition is a sign that there is a market there. Most sign companies are owned by independent people who grew up as a sign maker, a doer, not a planner. What we're effectively doing is taking a business that's been around for thousands of years and adding professional approach to it. Teaching business people how signs are made rather than trying to teach a sign maker how to run a business effectively. If you show up for the appointment, deliver the quote. There's plenty of business out there. Bandwidth is going to be your issue, not competition.
Sasson, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, thanks for having me. I was wondering, do you guys ever target a customer, go after someone who you think is a big fish and then kind of have to switch on your sales skills?
Larry Foster, you ever target a big customer?
You do. Well, I would say that we do target them, and not in a way where we're making cold calls to those people, but we look for people that know those people. You go to somebody that's in the same industry, or somebody that's in the same business park, and you try to get leads through them. So we do target certain businesses.
Ellen, do you target any customers?
So I guess real similar to Larry, we don't target specific customers. We target certain types of customers. and we go after them through, referral marketing, asking somebody else to introduce us, and or, targeting our digital marketing or even emails out to them. So I don't do much cold calling, but I do target certain types of customers, and I find a variety of marketing ways and introductions through referrals to go after them.
Ben King, do you target customers?
We haven't really. We've relied on referrals from our existing customers and then increased, just the new leads coming in. We are exploring some ideas on how to leverage different platforms to specifically target customers or positions that are out there, but right now we haven't.
Jack Warner, did you ever target specific customers?
I did. You're going to find that there's certain either types of customers or certain type of projects that you go after. And I think even Ben would admit that while he says he might not have a concerted effort towards it, you focus your marketing towards those niches, towards those types of customers, so that you can make your business more efficient over time, having areas of strength. So a lot of coaching and training, teaching how to coach.
Tom Thompson. Tom, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it very much. My question is really in the current environment, what is your biggest worry be and keeps you up at night? And to that point, what would your focus or recommendation to us that are considering to start up in this environment?
Larry Foster, in the current environment, first of all, are you busy, Larry?
We are. We went through a period where we were pretty much shut down. I kept 4 employees going to keep contact with customers that were out there. We did a lot of business with restaurants that were doing carryouts. So we kept the business going. We kept the contact with our existing customers. And so it's been really pretty good. It's come back pretty strong.
Anything you're worried about?
As you get started, you're worried about the customers. Are you getting the right customers, and are you getting enough of them? As you grow and you start, instead of doing 1, 2, or 5 projects at a time, you're doing maybe 150 to 200 projects at a time. Project management keeps you up. I mean, you've got to have the processes in place to keep track of everything.
But in the current virus environment, Larry, are you worried about anything?
Oh, no, I'm really not. I am now, if there's another second round, we go through the same thing where there's shutdowns, that'll bother me, but I'm hoping we don't get to that point.
Ellen, in the current environment, what are you worried about?
So I'm in Texas, and we're just starting to see a second spike. It's a spike much bigger than we dealt with the first time when businesses were closed. So for me, it's about trying to think about the business and anticipate and prepare our team. And that has served me well so far. We had a whole system in place, and we will probably execute it again for when several of us have to work remotely, how my guys continue to go in to work behind closed doors, but still stay safe. We continue to participate in the market as supporting essential businesses. So just kind of staying on top of that and having a solid plan in place that allows you to let your customers know you're still in business, you're still there to serve them, that lets your employees know that you're going to do everything you can to keep them safe while keeping them employed, and just kind of staying, in front of that a bit. It may keep me awake a little bit at night, but I feel like we've done a good job of staying on top of that, and that's helped us keep busy.
Ben King, what are you worried about?
I guess selfishly, it's wanting my business to grow year over year over year, and going into this 4th year thinking we were going to, see that same amount of growth that we saw in year 2 and year 3. And so just not seeing that and kind of hitting those numbers. And then I would say it being able to deal with it if it were to go through my team are the two things that I worry about.
Jack Warner?
Several things to think about is you're in a 2,000 square foot building with a couple of employees. So the work environment is really pretty safe compared to a lot of other businesses. You're meeting with a handful of customers and doing that properly and effectively so that the risk factors of the business are a lot less than a lot of other businesses you might consider. Sign owners are busy with not only the safety signs, the COVID type signs, but there's a lot of projects that are going on regardless of this. And so as you look at choices and opportunities, what direction can I go in this environment? I believe Signworld is one of the better, safer, and more viable options to consider.
Scott Monnet. Scott, come on from mute. Go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I'm probably fairly well down the path. I've been talking to several owners, and I've been around signs for 20 plus years in business, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of it. Here's my question. So for the first year to 2 years, what's the expected number of employees that you'll need to get up and running?
Larry Foster, year one, how many employees did you end up with at the end of the year?
I had 4 at the end of the first year.
And the end of the second year?
I don't think any more. I may have gone to 5 in the second year, but it probably stayed the same. And then probably the next year we went up a couple.
Helen, by the end of the first year, how many did you end up with?
I had 2.
And the end of the second year?
3.
Ben King, by the end of your first year, how many employees?
2, and then the end of my second year, I had 3.
Jack?
I think I was at 4 and then 6.
Okay. Sonny, come off of mute, Sonny. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for taking out your time to do this. My question is regarding recent trends. So if we take out the COVID signs that are very obvious going to be in demand, what are recent trends you're seeing from customers that are meaningful and impactful to your business?
Okay, Larry Foster, outside of the COVID signs that you're doing, has it been business as usual? What have you been doing during the last couple of months and today?
Oh, the last couple of months now, it's returned to normal. We're doing a lot of, our ongoing customers, turning those around. But I would say overall, just in the industry, there's more things going on, like walls that you're wrapping, car wraps, things like that. That's trended up certainly in the last couple of years.
Helen, what's outside of your virus signs, what have you been doing?
So interestingly enough, very little of our business during this time has come from the virus signs. Some, sure, but not a lot. So we've seen, first of all, our repeat clients have been invaluable. They've still needed the signage they need to run their business. Second of all, we've seen new businesses needing their signs. And so they were just putting together their business plan. They didn't have a plan to be making a lot of revenue in the first month or 2 anyway. And so they just continued right ahead forward with, here are my plans. Here's what I need to grow over the next few months. So we've gotten a lot of new business signage. And then we, interestingly enough, had a couple of businesses who took advantage of the less traffic and did a lot more stuff like hotels. I had one customer who did a hotel, an ongoing repeat client in a hotel, had us do more work on their elevators and their entrance areas because they had fewer of their regular customers to make that problematic getting it done. So, but repeat clients are always an invaluable source, independent of what's going on.
Ben King, have you been doing many COVID virus signs? What have you been doing the last couple of months and today?
Initially, we sent out some marketing to all of our existing kind of restaurants, bars, and offered to turn around a quick banner for them with their logo on it. So we got a handful of those, and then curbside pickup, things of that nature. And some initial floor graphics, not a ton, and I'm okay with that. We've actually we've done a lot with schools, in high schools and elementary schools, and like kind of huge wall murals in gymnasiums and things like that. And those have actually picked up as students haven't been in. So similar to talking about the hotels, a lot of our schools that we've worked with have kind of wanted to get that done before the students come back. And so we've done, quite a bit, particularly in May and June around those.
Jack, anything to add?
You know, talking to Signworld owners through the system, with very few exceptions, they're all busy, very busy, trying to add more staff, not decreasing staff. There's a lot of business going on, regardless of the COVID virus.
Lauren, come off of mute. Go ahead.
I would like to go back a little bit to competition. I know that you guys have all talked about how fragmented the industry is and how many independent are out there. My question is more related to other franchise business, or I shouldn't say franchise, other franchise, because you're not a franchise, but there are franchisees out there like Fast Signs and Signarama and some of these guys. How, if they were in your area when you started, how difficult was it to start, and were those guys a threat to you getting in business?
Larry Foster, when you started and you had to go up against the national franchises in the sign business, like Fast Signs and Signarama and so forth, did that affect you at all?
I don't think so. You know, I when I started, I thought in terms of Signarama or a Fast Signs was a Kmart, it was a Target, it was a Walmart. They're huge, but you find out that they're not. Most of them are not very good. They're not aggressive. They sit back and wait for customers to come to them, and that's. I tell you, that's not what I'm looking for my business. I don't want to rely on my reputation on other owners that have the same name as me. I want to build my own reputation.
Okay. Ellen, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, what we've learned is that I really have found them not to be a threat. You know, it gets back to what I said earlier. What's going to differentiate you is how responsive you are and the quality of service and speed of service that you deliver. And what we find with some of these other larger names is, you know, their Google reviews don't support the fact they've done a good job. We've gotten more customers who said, wow, of the 3 or 4 companies I called, you're the one that called me back. Or, oh my gosh, you've paid attention to detail. These other guys got half of what I gave them wrong. They just weren't paying enough attention. So, you know, be responsive, do good quality work, get those positive reviews out there to reflect it. And I haven't had a problem competing with them at all.
Ben King, your thoughts on Fast Signs, Signarama, and the others?
Yeah, I don't consider them competition at all. The one benefit that I have is, or that I do think they provide, is that they use the same software that we do. So I've actually taken 2 of their employees because they also, their familiarity with Corebridge. But besides that, no, I don't consider them a threat or competition. You know, I'm sure they're also there, but they're I don't know, they can't compete with me in my opinion.
Jack, your thoughts?
Go back to the fact that only 9% of the sign companies that are out there are a franchise. So your competition is 90% an independent. But to the franchises, you have the same group buying power as they do. You're working out of an industrial site, so you have a lower rent number. You don't have the counter staff waiting for the walk-in staff, so you're not paying the same payroll. They're paying an 8% royalty on every sale, and so you've got several price advantages over them. They'll never be able to compete with you on price. And we're saying, for the type of customer going after, is keep that money. You don't have to be at the same price as them. Make more profit on your business. But most of them are waiting for the customer to come to them. As Larry said, they hung the shingle out in a retail spot, and they're not as proactive on the customer acquisition as we are. A lot of training and coaching, teaching how to go after the customers you want. Your website's going to have your name and your logo and your color scheme and the picture of your things. And based on Google algorithms, will always outrank the franchise on a SEO search. Very dominant on the internet compared to that.
Dean, come off of mute. Tell us your last name, Dean.
Hi, this is Dean Davis. Thank you again for taking all these questions. I've been appreciating that. My question is, in hindsight, especially with the experience that you have now and the lessons that you've learned over the years, going back to year 1 or 2, what would you have done differently? What's something that we can consider as new potential partners?
Larry Foster, are you going to say play golf sooner?
No, when I started, I did not play golf very much. But the thing I would do differently, I would have listened a little bit more, because I can remember Ken telling me, as soon as you know you're going into business, get business cards made up, pass them out, let everybody that you know, everybody that you meet, let them know you're going into business and you love an opportunity if they have one for you. And I didn't do that. I focused on setting up my building, hiring my employees, getting everybody trained. And when that beautiful grand opening day hit, I didn't have any business. I started off slow. And so it took me a couple months to get going. So I would have listened a little better.
Alan McKinstry, what would you have done differently day one?
I would have streamlined my pricing model. So again, Ken, can't fault Ken, because he was preaching that from day one. But I think we were trying to overanalyze our costs and our pricing, and consequently it slowed us down in getting estimates out the door. And as I've mentioned 2 or 3 times, responsiveness is king in this industry. So if I had to do something different, it would be to get on the stick a lot earlier and producing a simplified pricing model to enable us to get those estimates out even faster.
Ben, tell us about responsiveness. Is that king?
Well, absolutely. It's as Helen says, it's the way you differentiate yourself, and you'd be surprised, and maybe you wouldn't if you've experienced any or had any interactions with sign companies, but the number of times you hear from a client that, oh, you're the first person to get back to me, or you're the only person to get back to me. The one thing I would do differently is it took me longer, and I still don't know if I've perfected some of the systems of how a lead works through into an order and kind of works through our shop. We're still a little bit too manual for my taste. I wish I would have solidified more of that early on. And
so good systems and procedures in place, yeah, so that you're ready once you got an order. Yeah. Jack, what would you have done differently?
One thing that I now teach in training is that we have the power of no customer should be a dead end. Unlike other businesses where there's a gap from one customer to the next, in our world, everybody touches somebody else. So it's leveraging the power of who already knows you and believes in you.
I'll add my 2 cents. I think if you surveyed all 350 Signworld owners, a great number of them would say they would have started and gone into business for themselves a lot sooner in life instead of waiting till mid-age. Larry, would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
All right, let's see where we left off here. Hector, you're up next. Hector, go ahead. Hector, come off of mute. Are you there?
Sorry about that. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate the time. My question is with regards to equipment. How did each one of you, did you start off with, I guess, just the basic equipment, and did you scale up as your business just started to evolve?
Yes, Hector, everybody started with effectively the same equipment package. So Larry, how long before you were in business, before you bought your next piece of equipment, and what have you done over the years?
It was 5 years before I bought the first piece of big equipment, which was another printer. You buy hand tools and all those things, but the biggest piece was I bought a second printer. It was after 5 years, because I had a 5-year lease, and they had the new printer delivered to my new location. And then over the years, we've continued to buy more things, bigger things, faster things as the technology changes. I've probably spent, I don't know, probably $250,000 over the years in equipment.
Over 20 years.
Yes.
Helen McKinstry, besides the basic package, how long before you bought anything else?
So I'm still on the basic package. I had a plan this year to move into a new facility, and with the additional space, fill a demand I need for a router. So my router is on my Christmas list. I've pushed that plan out 1 year. So right now we're looking at moving into our bigger space next year and hopefully getting a router once we have that bigger space, because we've definitely got a demand. We're outsourcing a lot of cutting and routing right now.
Ben King, 4 years in business. Have you bought anything above the basic package?
To Larry's point, a lot of hand tools, and I bought a panel saw kind of shortly after I opened, which we've used quite often. But besides that, I'm still on my original pack.
So in dollars, what's that, Ben? How much have you spent?
Oh, probably another $5 grand.
Okay. Jack Warner.
I was 3 years in before I started buying more equipment, where I bought a screen printer and then a CNC router and then channel bending equipment. And that's probably normal for Signworld owners, 3, 4, 5 years. They're either determined that they want more equipment in the back, or they decide they don't want any more equipment in the back. They're just market and manage, let others manage it. Ken, in the chat window, Brian Reagan said that you missed him in the calls. And then I have a question that Mike Doonan typed in.
I got it. So we're at the hour here. We still have a bunch more questions. So to my panel, short answers, please. Short answers. Francis, come off of mute, Francis. Go ahead.
Hi there, it's Francis. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. Just wanted to understand the panel itself, and have they gone after the large companies that are globally or within the United States, and how did they do it, or how did they fall into it?
Let me make sure I understand your question. Your question is, how did they get brand name customers, large companies around the nation? Is that it?
Yep, and they found it.
Foster, mention a brand name company that you work with, and how did you get them?
Well, I work with a lot of them. My biggest customer last year was a company called Dana, which is a supplier to the automotive company. I got them through a referral from another similar company. I work with Chrysler. I work with General Motors. I have worked with Ford in the past. And it's funny because a lot of times, you're not going to the marketing manager of those companies. You're getting in through a maintenance person. They're looking for something small, and it just grows from there. It goes from one department to another.
So Larry, are you making signs that say Ford Motor on them, General Motors on them, Chrysler on them?
We do because we're working in some of their plants. So yes, we do. And we also in some of the dealerships.
Helen McKinstry, tell us some brand name companies and how did you get them?
So 3 brands people would recognize are Wyndham, the hotel chain, eBay, Toyota. All 3 of those came about as, people buy signs from a local sign business. At least that's where they start, right? And so these were local facilities and operations managers or people I had a relationship with previously, gave us a chance, typically with a smaller project. We did good work, and it's grown into more and more and bigger projects. And so it's just, you typically start with one and it grows. And if you do it well, you can grow that into additional locations of that same company.
So you work with Wyndham Hotels, with Toyota and eBay.
eBay.
Okay. Ben King, tell us some brand names that you work with and how you got them.
We've done some signs for Target, which is located up here. We've done some signs for General Mills and Sleep Number, which are 3 kind of corporations that are built here. But probably the client that we most enjoy working with is we do a lot of signing for the Minnesota Wild, and so it's the state of hockey up here. And so anytime we can put that on our website or on our Facebook page, it goes a long way.
Okay. Do they pay you in hockey sticks and hockey pucks?
If they sold them in 8 and 10-year-old sizes, I would take them, but I'm not getting.
Do you get free tickets?
We have scored some tickets to some games because of it.
Right. Jack Warner, brand names.
Dave & Buster's Worldwide, making game graphics, even though they're based in Dallas, 2,000 miles away, came from helping a local operation. Subway on a regional basis, a $300,000 a year customer. Barbecues Galore chain doing new store locations all over the country, about another $300,000 a year customer.
Okay. Let's see. Dean, did we get Dean? I think we did.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Michael Chavin. Michael, did you get a chance? Michael Chavin. Okay, a person on the call with a I can't read the area code. Someone's on the telephone.
6, Western Michigan.
616, area code. You want to come off of mute and ask a question? Let's go to the Q&A. From an anonymous attendee, what percentage should we plan for material costs? Larry Foster, what's your cost of goods?
My cost of goods is about 24 to 25%.
Helen McKinstry, cost of goods.
Probably more like about 40%.
Ben King, cost of goods.
In-house projects, 25%, exterior or outsourced projects, 45 to 50%.
Yeah.
Jack Werner, cost of goods.
The numbers are given are pretty accurate. 25% on in-house and 35, 40 on outsourced.
Okay, from Keith Johnson, what percent of your business do you negotiate or lower your price? Larry Foster?
Maybe 5%. That doesn't happen very often.
Helen McKinstry?
Percentage of my business, I wouldn't say, but we had to work hard to find the right local market sweet spot for vehicle graphics, which is a fairly significant part of our business. So we are below our typical or average profit rate on that, but we did a lot of research. It's a good going rate for the local market, and it's worked well for us, but I don't negotiate on it.
Ben King?
We don't do a ton of negotiations. I mean, if we feel really confident in our prices that we're priced right, and so if somebody wants to give us another quote, we'll take a look at it. But 9 times out of 10, even when they do that we're somehow apples and oranges to begin with. So we don't do a lot of price.
So less than 10% of the time you're faced with a check.
Way less than that.
Jack Werner?
We're really trying to teach you to avoid the customers, just strictly going for price.
Okay. Okay, does anybody?
We missed Brian Reagan.
I'm sorry?
We missed Brian Reagan. Brian, are you there?
Brian, go ahead, Brian. All right, Jack, do you want to wrap it up?
I had one other that Mike Dunan had emailed into me. Bear with me here 1 second. I'm having trouble finding it. There it is. Question is, how do you know what to quote and to be competitive in the local market? We're going to give you a very elaborate software system that is going to give you industry standard pricing, and then for you to go from there. We're going to teach you how to do local surveys in local market to see at least what the competition is. Again, as we talked about, we're not trying to be price competitive. We're trying to give a value proposition to a customer that needs to be taken care of. Larry, anything else you'd like to add to that comment?
No, I don't think so.
Ellen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right? You do need to try to develop a sense over time with some specific actions around surveying, checking things out to find out what the right market price is for certain subsets of your market. It will vary by product line.
Ben?
I'm good.
So we want to thank all of you for being here today. We hope this has been helpful. If you're interested in digging deeper, go back to Ken or Dan or myself and talk more. We'll have another webinar just like this on Wednesday, the 22nd, with a different panel of owners. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe, do your homework, and figure out if Signworld's the right fit for you. Larry and Helen and Ben, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days to be here to help us.
Jack, do you want to mention Discovery Day?
We have a Discovery Day once a month. We have one next week, Friday. We don't want you to come to that until you're deep in the process, till you're close to making a decision. We want to make it a smaller select group. So Friday, July 10th, if you're very close. Otherwise, plan on being there for one on Friday, August 15th. Normally, we do these as a full-day event here in Orange County, California. Right now, due to travel restrictions and grouping, we're having to do them virtual, but it's become very effective 7-hour combination of different webinars. We take breaks every hour. You're not sitting in front of a computer every day, but I think you'll find them to be quite effective in helping you understand who we are and what we do.
Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.